Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Drafted Up podcast. It's Tuesday, it's election day, so today we're casting our votes for some awards as we are in the midseason here for the National Football League. I'm Theo, that's Nick. Like I said, this is the Drafted Up podcast. How you doing, Nick?
Doing good. I would like to give a quick shout out to the New Orleans Saints for firing Dennis Allen.
Yes, it finally happened.
I can sleep well tonight.
They finally got the Riz, their new head coach.
Yeah, and anyone's better than Dennis Allen. He's like statistically one of the worst coaches in NFL history.
Derek Carr is like the worst quarterback in NFL history in terms of losses.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well,
into his career.
Statistically, through like their first 4 seasons to 11 seasons, David Carr has the most losses from like 4 to 6 in that season range, and then Derek is every other season after him. The Carrs are the worst quarterbacks in NFL history. It's insane.
And Derek is on the verge of losing to all 32 NFL teams. He's lost to 31. He does play the Raiders this year, so that'll be the most interesting thing about that game in December.
For sure. Other than that, it'll be pretty horrendous.
Yeah. Before we dive on in, Twitter, @DraftedUp_pod, Apple, YouTube, Spotify, like, rate, subscribe, review, share, tell a friend, all that good stuff. We always appreciate you guys spreading the word. It means the world. So today, big episode. We're going to do mid-season awards, like I mentioned at the top.
Hell yeah.
And we are also going to dive into some rookie talk. We're going to focus this episode on the guys who were coming into the league at the 2024 NFL draft, how we started the podcast, doing the whole couch scout stuff. So we're going to look at how they're doing so far. And before we dive into that, though, we're going to jump in and do the Thursday night football preview. Can't skip it. Big game Thursday night. Huge. As the Cincinnati Bengals go to Baltimore to face the Ravens. Should be an exciting Thursday game. The Ravens are 6-point home favorites, an over-under of 53.5. The last time these two teams played, they put up a ton of points.
Yeah.
I believe it was 38-36. I know the Ravens
came 5, correct?
Yeah. The Ravens came back and won. It was a game the Bengals should have won. It was a 48-38.
Crazy high scoring game.
Yeah. The Ravens looked dead in the water, and then the Bengals played chicken ball like Zach Taylor always does. Didn't go for the win, and it got the Ravens back in the game. Took the game to overtime, and the Ravens ended up winning that game. Obviously, here you're going to start Lamar Jackson. You're going to start Derrick Henry. You're going to start Joe Burrow. You're going to start Jamar Chase. They're the no-brainers. T. Higgins didn't practice. Doesn't look like he's going to play.
Probably not.
So the Bengals finally won a game without T. Higgins. And Mike Gesicki, when T. Higgins isn't in, has put up numbers.
5 catches every game, correct?
Every
Something
game
like
but
that?
one. He had 4.
Okay.
So 4+ in every game. He had 2 touchdowns this past week. Is Mike Gesicki in play for you this week?
You could definitely play him. I don't see a problem with it. Tight ends really took a step back last week. A lot of them shit the bed. So if you're not confident with one of your tight ends, Gesicki without T. Higgins, like you said, his floor is like 4 catches. He's good for like 50 yards, so that's 9. And if you're lucky, a touchdown. So that's a great game for a tight end. No Higgins, like you said. Jermaine Burton's probably not going to be out there. I don't like Yoshi Voss, so that really leaves Chase. So I don't like Gesicki this week, but he's startable for sure.
So 4 teams on bye, so you're going to need tight end options, and 3 of the teams on bye have guys who likely are in your lineup every week. Cleveland with Njoku, Tucker Kraft with the Packers, and Brock Bowers with the Raiders. Those 3 guys are pretty much locks in your lineup every week. Noah Fant's the other tight end on a bye. He's not really into any starting lineups. He's into your stream options. So Mike Gesicki, if you do have one of those tight ends, I think he's a good pickup.
Yeah, he's definitely very startable this week. Like you said, 3 of the 4 tight ends on buys are all starts. So, yeah, Gesicki's very startable this week.
Yeah, and then tight end on the other side, you're still cool just locking Mark Andrews in?
Yep, I've been for the last couple of weeks. saying Andrews is pretty much back to, and he's not 100% back, but he's back to a lock at this point for tight ends. I'm confident starting Mark Andrews.
And then how about Zay Flowers?
Oh, dude, huge week last week. What do you have? 5
Huge
for 127,
week.
2 tutties. First, a really good defense, too, in Denver. Baltimore just went off as a whole. They looked so good.
Yeah.
Real statement game last week for Baltimore.
Yeah, they needed it after
the
Cleveland game.
I would start Zay this week. Cincinnati has a huge secondary problem. So I think Zay has another big game. Don't lock the 2 touchdowns in, but I think 6 for 100 is definitely possible.
Deontay Johnson should be more involved. Are you comfortable putting him, or are you going to be wait and see? Because that's where I am. I'm wait and see on Deontay, and I'm putting Zay Flowers in. I think he's a wide receiver 2 this week.
I agree. I'm not starting Deontay if I don't have to, because it's a Thursday game. It's one of those situations I'd rather wait out and have him on my bench. Like it's the Tank Dell situation from last week. I didn't start Tank Dell on a Thursday. I was confident to have him on my bench. He had a huge game, but I'm okay with him having him on my bench, where I would be at with Deontay Johnson. If he goes off, I'm happy to have him on my bench for next week. So,
yeah, no, I'm in the same boat there. And then final one's really Chase Brown for Cincinnati. No Zach Moss. They did acquire Khalil Herbert today, but can't. Yeah, I think it's a great pickup. He should fill in nicely. Zach Moss out indefinitely. But I don't think he's going to factor in too much this week. Chase Brown absolutely ripped up the Raiders. Career game for him.
Yeah, tell me about it.
I would still start him, even though it's a tougher matchup. No T. Higgins, like we said, so there's got to be passing work going around. I think Chase Brown could be involved in that again.
I agree. He had 5 targets, caught all 5, and the week before he had 4. Without Higgins, the options spread out through all the offense, and I think Chase Brown has a good chance to get 4 catches again, and his rushing stats were great. He went off against me. You had him in our home league. It's not going to be a career day or anything, but it's a tough defense. But he's going to be an RB2 probably. He's going to get a ton of work.
He's going to get the workload, and that's the key there. We've seen that no matter who the running back is in the Cincinnati offense, if they're getting the workload, they are fantasy relevant, dating back to Joe Mixon and dating to this year when one of the guys, whether it be Moss or Brown, got more of the work. They've been fantasy relevant. Chase Brown more so than Zach Moss.
Yeah, Chase Brown brings more to the table than Zach Moss does with explosiveness. He hits holes a little bit different. I'm glad he's shining. He's taking this opportunity. He's really starting to run with it. Yeah. So keep going off, dude. Keep popping.
Yeah. And then who you picking here? Cincinnati or Baltimore?
Picking Baltimore, dude. You know how I feel about Cincinnati. They beat really, really bad teams sometimes, not all the time. And they can hang with good teams, but they just can't pull the trigger. I don't think it changes this week, especially with Higgins out. He's such a big loss for this offense, dude. They really need to figure out that situation, dude, because he's not going to be back next year. They've already sailed the boat. Higgins is gone. They're not going to pay this dude. Jermaine Burton, I have no idea what the fuck's going on with that. There was reports that they had specific game plans for Jermaine Burton for Sunday, and he showed up to the game in pajama pants. And they're like, he didn't even
show up to the walkthrough on Saturday. He missed the Saturday walk.
You're a healthy scratch. You're not playing today, dude. You need to get your head fixed. I'm a big Jermaine Burton supporter on the field. His off the field stuff. God, what are you doing, dude? You are an NFL player at this point. Stop being a child. Get your fucking act together. Show up to practice. You are talented. Fucking put it together, dude. Go be the Bengals number 2. Be the option for Burrow. He's a letdown, dude. He's such a disappointment right now.
No matter what graces he is in with Zach Taylor, if you're in bad graces with your quarterback in Joe Burrow,
not going to go good.
He doesn't care, and that's why Yoshi Voss is on the field, and that's why Yoshi Voss has been on the field all season. It's because Joe Burrow likes Andre Yoshi Voss. Princeton kid, shows up to practice, puts in the work. He's not overly talented, but he's showed up when they needed him. He scored a touchdown on Sunday, and when T. Higgins isn't in, he has scored 3 of the 4 games that T has missed. So, Jermaine Burton, youthfulness, whether it's that or just his immaturity or what's going on there.
It's his immaturity. He had this problem at Alabama. They need to get this kid like a one-on-one. They need to hire someone to work for the organization who babysits Jermaine Burton. If they want him to succeed, they're going to have to babysit him. It is what it is. But for the next year or two, you need to keep this kid on the field and dedicated to football. And if he's not dedicated, you just got to move on. It is what it is.
Yeah. I'm also picking the Ravens. I think the Ravens, you could claim they're the best team in football. I wouldn't argue with you too much. They're really good. When the Ravens are on, they're like their rushing attack is the best in NFL history at this point through the season, and their passing attack is 9th all time in NFL history. So this Ravens offense is incredible, and if they're on, they're unbeatable. But they do give up some plays. They're in a more elite version of Cincinnati, where like they'll play down and lose and just get themselves caught up, or they'll get momentum too quick, put up too many points, and kind of just get too laxed, which is what we saw with Vegas. The Vegas came back and beat them. But I think Baltimore wins. It will be another close game. I don't think they win by 6, like the spread says. I would say it's another
spread 6. I'm surprised it's not like 4.5, to be honest. Which is weird though for Baltimore. This whole their defense is usually really good, where they don't allow teams to come back, and it's switched up this year where their defense isn't as good as it usually is. They're beatable through the defense, but could you imagine if they had one of their great defenses with this offense now? Yeah. Baltimore would be steamrolling teams, dude.
The problem, Baltimore's defense is good, but the problem is the offense is so good
they're constantly on the field.
Defense is just on the field all the time, and the Ravens are always in the lead, so teams have been able to pass on Baltimore because that's all they can do.
Yeah, you can't run. They're one of those teams you can't run on.
This offense is insanely efficient.
Yeah, they're going to be brought up a couple times throughout this episode. I can tell you that much.
All right, let's dive. We're both picking Baltimore, so let's dive into the awards. Fantasy MVP so far through midseason.
It's a guy that you and I were talking about 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, I think you got to bring this guy up for the league MVP. It's a shame his quarterback is obviously the front runner for league MVP, so it's gonna take votes away from him. But it's Derrick Henry, dude.
Yeah,
he was like a back end of the first round guy. You could have got him in the second in some weeks. He won the second in our home league, I'm pretty sure. Dude, he's got 13 tutties on the season already. He has 2 receiving touchdowns, which ties his career high already, which is great. They're using him a little bit more in the receiving game than I personally thought they would be. And his rushing numbers are through the fucking roof, dude. He has a rushing touchdown in every game except one. That game he has a receiving touchdown. So he has a touchdown every single game this year. Derrick Henry would be a lock for my fantasy MVP. If we would be redrafting at this point on, he would be my 1-1. Derrick Henry is King Henry for a reason, dude. So crowns off to him, dude. He's got 1,000 yards already, 13 total touchdowns. Derrick Henry's king for a reason. Hell yeah.
Yeah, he has been an absolute monster. The 30 wall doesn't affect Derrick Henry. I know doesn't that's matter. Everyone brings it up for running backs, the age cliff. And yeah, I get it because historically, that's what happens. But Derrick Henry's a different kind of athlete. This dude is legitimately a Hall of Fame running back, and sometimes there's outliers to these rules, and he's one of them. 1,052 yards through 9 games. It's 117 yards a game. He is on pace for 1,987 yards on the season. He could have realistically another 2,000 yard season. This guy, he's built different.
Oh yeah.
I know when they brought him in after game 1 and it wasn't great. Justice Hill played more than he did, and John Harbaugh was like, "Yeah, we didn't bring Derrick Henry in here to run him into the ground." And dude's on track for 300 carries again. He is the cog here. Him and Lamar they're so dangerous together. And going in, say Derrick Henry finishes the year, that 1,900 yards is pushing it. I don't know if he gets there, but say 1,750, 17 touchdowns. Where's Derrick Henry going next year in fantasy? He's going to be 31. So I'm not shying away from him. He will be a top 3 running back on my board next year. I don't care if I draft him in the first round and Derrick Henry fails, because why are we continuously betting against this dude?
Yeah, I agree. You and I have always been a guy into guys that we're not willing to have Henry die on our team But at this point, you have to just bite the bullet and hope that Derrick Henry's Derrick Henry. He's 30. He's in an offense that is elite. Baltimore is just a good franchise every single year, and they know how to plan around guys in their system. They'll change up their system for guys. They don't mold guys. So Derrick Henry, dude, like his carries are through the charts, and if they're winning games, they're giving this guy the rock. Baltimore wins a lot of games. Derrick Henry then gets a lot of carries. And there's a couple games on here that are going to be tough, but man, there's a lot of cakewalk games too. They play the Giants. They play Cleveland again. They're going to play the Chargers. I think they're going to beat them. The Ravens realistically could win every game from here on out. And with Derrick Henry doing that, the 1,700 yards I could see definitely happening. And I honestly think he could push 20 touchdowns. Like total. He only needs 7 more.
Yeah.
So it's going to happen. In how many games? 4, 8. He has 8 games.
They've 7.
20 touchdowns is 100% on the table here for Derrick Henry. So I 100% lock him in there for like all fantasy MVP. And I think a real life MVP, he's in the discussion too. So
like this dude, we're also not looking. He's averaging 6.3 yards a carry.
Dude, which
is a career high
versus Tampa. His stat line was 15 for 169. He averaged almost 12 a clip versus Tampa.
Yeah.
That's insane, dude. Derrick Henry is a monster. He's a whole different breed. I'm bummed that McCaffrey missed this part of the season. I would love to be able to stack up Henry and McCaffrey right about now to see where those both guys would be at.
Yeah. Rest of season, who would you rather have on your team, Christian McCaffrey or Derrick Henry?
Derrick Henry, dude. Not even close.
Yeah. Some other names I did want to give a little shout out to here because it is a far runaway for Derrick Henry, but Joe Mixon, he was great value. I was personally out on Joe Mixon. I just didn't think the Texans offense was going to run through him, and then Nico Collins getting hurt, and Joe Mixon also missed games. But like Nico and Joe Mixon have been the offense, which I projected more to be Stroud and the receivers. It's just been Nico and Joe. They've been the cog that makes Houston go. Joe Mixon's been a great value when he's been on the field. He's been great for you in fantasy. Saquon Barkley and Alvin Kamara, the other two names I wanted to throw out there.
Great shout out.
Saquon Barkley is probably the only running back who's like exceeding expectations from the first round guys. Like Jahmyr Gibbs has been fine. Breece Hall and Bijan. Bijan's been better. Breece Hall's not been worth the RB2 or 3 where he was drafted. And then obviously Christian McCaffrey, who's injured. And then Alvin Kamara was just an insane value, and he's been efficient on top of getting the workload, which we didn't see the year before.
Yeah, for sure. His rushing yards are just almost like old Kamara, and his PPR work hasn't decreased at all. So Kamara's just been a huge light for anyone who picked him up in like the 5th. Kamara's been great value. He's definitely in the running. Barkley, dude, come on, dude. Barkley, like you said, he's like one of the only first-round running backs that's actually hitting his mark, and he's succeeding too, dude. Like he's been used in the passing game. That was your worry. He has a couple receiving touchdowns. They're actually using him on the goal line occasionally, not often, but he has a couple goal line touchdowns. Barkley, Henry, Bijan, and McCaffrey would be my 4 going into the next year, just off the top of my head right now.
Oh, I would put Kyron in there.
Oh, shit, forgot about that guy, and he's on my home team. Yep, he's on my main team. Yeah, Kyron's right there with those 3 guys, for sure. Kyron's in the talks for MVP. I've totally forgot about that.
I was going to bring Kyron Williams up. He's been an absolute monster.
For sure. He's a touchdown in every game except last week.
A lot of people were worried about him because of the Blake Corum stuff. I never batted that. Like I was expecting, Rams, Sean McVay loves to run the one running back system. Kyron's that dude.
Yeah, I think we seen it really that like running backs kind of dwindled in the first round this year where it was very receiver heavy. I think that kind of switches where running backs have all been pretty consistent and receivers have kind of stuttered here and there. I think running backs are going to be top round heavy come next season for fantasy.
And hey, those first round receivers have been putting in the work though. Like Jamar Chase has been great. Justin Jefferson's been great. CeeDee Lamb's been good now without Dak Prescott. Who knows going forward? Tyreek Hill, he's been the big one, but like most of it's not his fault because Tua Tagovailoa was out. So let's see how Tyreek's rest of season goes with Tua back there looking healthy. But let's be a little negative. Who's the biggest fantasy bust so far?
a man that I have just been bad mouthing on this podcast for months.
Justin Fields?
Well, that guy actually produced way better than Anthony Richardson has. Both guys have been benched, but I would much rather have Justin Fields on my team going forward. It does seem that Joe Flacco has been announced as the starter for the rest of the season going forward. I don't know if they're going to stick with that, to be honest.
Yeah, they did come out and say Flacco's going to start week 10. He did not look good week 9.
No, I was going to bring that up. He did look rough.
Part of that was like, do you think they kind of just threw Flacco to the Wolves because they knew Anthony Richardson wasn't going to be able to sustain any sort of drive against a Brian Flores defense where they're just like, hey, Joe,
you got to
get on out there.
And... Yeah, 100%. Well, the definition of throwing to the Wolves is what happened to Minnesota. Like, Minnesota is a crazy defense ran by Brian Flores, who has schemed up the craziest blitz patterns. You don't even know they're blitzing the house. They have 4 guys on the line and 8 are rushing. You don't even know where they come from. It's insane. Anthony Richardson would have been lost. He would have looked legitimately blind if he played this game. But man, he was ADP 5th quarterback off the board in fantasy. He was going as early as the end of the 4th, early 5th round. And the dude, he lost his job, dude. Like, there's no reason he was drafted that early. It's insane. He was going well before Jordan Love. And Jordan Love is on pace for like 40-some touchdowns if he played every game. He missed a couple here and there, but like
Jordan Love's also throwing a ton of interceptions too.
Hey man,
let's not make it like Jordan Love's been perfect, but he's absolutely lights out. He's become a gunslinger. Like, it's so strange because that's not his style, but that's what he's doing. I don't
mind my elite quarterback throwing a lot of picks. Mahomes has had seasons where he threw a ton of picks. Drew Brees had seasons where he led the NFL in picks. Brett Favre used to lead the league in picks. Like, it happens when you sling the ball around. So, like, I'm fine with Jordan Love having a bunch. Josh Allen, he had a ton of picks too. Like, these guys have had all seasons where they just had a ton of picks. It is what it is. It's not going to be like this every year for Jordan Love, but he is a gunslinger and he's going to throw picks. I would rather him go down throwing picks than just standing there getting sacked or taking a 2-yard loss like Anthony Richardson does constantly. But Anthony Richardson, dude, he's been a dud all season except week 1. Week 1, he went out and had 2 nice passes. That's it. That's the reason he had a good game. And on the season, he has 3 good passes all season. That's all I'm giving him, is 3 good passes. Bum. Huge disappointment for fantasy.
Yeah, Anthony Richardson is not like he was going over Joe Burrow. I think that's the bigger crime than him going over Jordan Love. Him going over Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow is the only quarterback with multiple 5-touchdown games this season. If the Bengals were winning games, Joe Burrow would be the runaway MVP.
Yeah.
But they're not. But yeah, Anthony Richardson's mine. We're not going to bring up Christian McCaffrey. If you're watching, you're just like, why aren't you guys talking about McCaffrey? He was drafted 1-1 and he scored 0 points. Like, he's injured. Like, it's nothing that's like out of our control. It's not a poor performance situation.
Yeah.
Like, I considered bringing up Brandon Ayuk, who has had 1 good game this year, and unfortunately he got hurt. Like,
but he at least played and looked like shit. Where McCaffrey hasn't had a chance to play. Like, Ayuk played and he looked like shit. Anthony Richardson played and looked like dog shit. So I get the Ayuk thing.
I'm also going to throw out Patrick Mahomes. He was drafted as quarterback 2 or 3. Like, he was going right there with Jalen Hurts. And crazy. Patrick Mahomes is not good for fantasy. He is.
Oh, yeah.
And if you drafted him, you've handcuffed yourself to him, because, like, you're not going to bench Patrick Mahomes or drop Patrick Mahomes because of name. But hide the name, pretend his name is Daniel Jones. You would have dropped him by now. Like, Patrick Mahomes has not been good for fantasy. He's a great real-life quarterback. He's the best real-life quarterback in the world. But fantasy-wise, he is a stream guy at this point. And, like, on Monday, he looked great. He had a top 12 QB performance, which he hasn't done too often the last 2 years. But those are few and far between now. So I wanted to throw his name out there. Same with C.J. Stroud. We drafted C.J. Stroud thinking he was going to be the up-and-comer. We did not see the C.J. Stroud being QB4 like where he was going. No. We thought he was down more towards like Andrew Love's level of QB7, QB8. And like Stroud's been fine, but he's become a matchup guy. And with Nico out, he hasn't been as good. So Nico might be back this week. We don't know. Once Nico gets back, I think you can more comfortably start Stroud. But otherwise, he's been disappointed where you drafted him.
Yeah. Stroud definitely has been a disappointment. The offense around him has been down here and there, so it's definitely hurt his production. Mahomes, though, that's wild, dude. He only has 11 touchdowns on the year, 9 interceptions, so it almost balances out. The 9 interceptions is a lot. I'll give him that. He doesn't even have 2,000 yards yet. That's not that good. Like, he's very, very streamable. Like, you don't want to start him every week. He's a huge liability. And, like, if you're starting him every week, there's a good chance you're just taking L's. Like, you're just eating losses because you're forcing yourself to start Mahomes, to where Anthony Richardson, you could just fucking cut that guy. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or, like, buts about it.
Yeah.
Cut him, move on, pick up Flacco, Geno, Mayfield, pick up anyone. But you can't really start those guys over Mahomes based off name value, but you kind of have to. Like, at this point, you got to pull the trigger. You just got to start starting other quarterbacks.
Yeah.
If he has a bad matchup, don't force yourself into Mahomes. Go find a streamer. We'll make out better fucking 7 out of 10 times.
Mm-hmm. We didn't do a comeback award, but off dome, I kind of want to give a shout out to Chris Godwin and J.K. Dobbins for that.
Sam Darnold.
Yeah, technically he's not eligible for the NFL Comeback Player of the Year award. They changed the rules for that.
What is he coming back from? Sucking? He was never good.
Yeah,
he just finally showed up. It's not a comeback if you just show up.
Anyone who had to play for the New York Jets, they're coming back from something, brother.
Hey man, I get it.
Out there.
That is very true.
But in terms of, I was talking more fantasy. Darnold fits in that too, but Chris Godwin,
dude, Godwin wasn't great last year.
Godwin has been.
He deserves flowers this year for sure.
He was looking so elite this year, and the devastating injury, and he's come out and said if the Bucs make a run in the playoffs and can get to the Super Bowl, he said he could play.
Yeah,
it would be in timeline, which is insane considering how his foot looked after he got hurt. And then,
thankfully, it was just a dislocation. It wasn't broke or anything. So there's a realistic chance he's back for the playoffs, 100%. And I would have loved to see it, dude. He's a dog.
And for next year, it makes me a little more comfortable taking him coming off just a dislocation than a break or any sort of tear. And then J.K. Dobbins, who's just been constantly hurt, hasn't been as good lately. He's losing the juice, but he's still a startable piece in fantasy with the Chargers.
For sure. Same with Aaron Jones. He had a lot of bad mouth coming into the season that he was done. He was washed.
From me.
Yeah, that he wasn't worth the 5th, 6th round pick that he was going, and he's been every bit more productive than his draft pick. Aaron Jones has been going off. He's had great games this year. Go off, King.
Yeah.
Dude, I love seeing Aaron
Chandler's season
Jones.
is over.
Yeah.
He's not even the backup anymore. It's Cam Akers' job. Ty Chandler's third string back.
Yeah.
I'll bite the bullet on that one. Aaron Jones has been great for Minnesota.
For sure.
So is Sam Darnold. Both of them deserve to be in this category. But let's talk real football.
Hell yeah.
Who is your league MVP?
Right now, it's got to be Lamar, dude. Lamar just has been so thorough with the ball, and he's making great decisions, dude. He's making Bateman look good. And now they got Deontay Johnson. They added weapons for him, and they got Henry in the backfield. So they got the best running back in football right now with an elite athletic quarterback. So going forward, Lamar's only going to be better with more time with this offense. But I do want to give a little bit of a dark horse to the guy that we just badmouthed on disappointment. It's Mahomes. They're 8-0. If he happens to just turn it up another gear, he's then on par with Lamar. I get he's been a fantasy disappointment, but to have your team sitting at 8-0 in the NFL is hard by any standards. And they have a chance to go 1 loss, 2 losses on the year. The Chiefs are going to be really well off come playoff times. Mahomes is going to be in the MVP discussion, love it or hate his stat line, but if he happens to turn it up just a little bit, start getting 2 touchdowns a game from here on out, he's going to be in that MVP hunt. But it's Lamar right now for sure.
Lamar is also my pick, but I'm going to go in the same boat as you and take a guy on a team who's 7-2 and Josh Allen.
Okay.
17 touchdowns, 2 interceptions on the year. He's been insanely sufficient.
Yeah.
With the ball. He's not turning it over. He's playing good football. Buffalo wants to run. Josh Allen has 3 rushing touchdowns, so he's got 20 total touchdowns to 2 interceptions. Josh Allen's looked this is the best he's looked in terms of being a real life quarterback.
Mhm.
Like, he hasn't been the fantasy star. Like, he's still good. He's still a top 5 fantasy quarterback.
Yeah, he's still
He's
a
been
lock.
great, but real life wise, this is the best he's looked. And I think Buffalo's kind of going under the radar. No one's really talking about him as like a contender. Everyone seems to be focusing on Baltimore, Kansas City, Detroit as like the 3 heavy hitters. I think Buffalo is right up there with them with the way Josh Allen is playing the ball. They're built for the playoffs with the way this team wants to run the offense is just run, run. I think if Buffalo say they finish with 3 losses and they get maybe somehow sneak into the 1 seed, if Kansas City kind of loses some games,
Yeah.
I think Josh Allen is going to be a front runner for MVP.
Yeah. Yeah, like you're looking at probably the 3 best quarterbacks in football, just overall in general, not fantasy-wise, being Patrick Mahomes, Lamar, and Josh Allen. So, of course, these 3 guys come the end of the season. If they're on good squads, they're going to be in the MVP hunt. So it's all just logical to me. Like, those 3 guys should be MVP frontrunners every single year.
Yeah. And then, like we said, I brought up Joe Burrow. If the Bengals were actually winning games, Joe Burrow, I think, would have this award in the bag. He's been that good this year.
Derrick Henry also, like, if Lamar would only be having an average season and they're just happening to win these games, Derrick Henry has a stat line that would put him in the MVP hunt. It's just a shame his quarterback is the front runner for MVP.
Yeah. It's a shame that the MVP is just a quarterback award at this point, because Christian McCaffrey should have won it last year.
100%. I agree. And at some point it has to change. Like, we have to stop giving it to just quarterbacks on the best team.
A huge pot shot at McCaffrey if Derrick Henry won this year after the year McCaffrey had last season.
I agree, but maybe it would be like a looking at it as like a stepping stone. Like, McCaffrey had this season. McCaffrey walked so Derrick Henry could score some fucking touchdowns, brother. So, like, give these running backs, like, I get running back isn't a value position, but, like, McCaffrey carried that team all year last year. It wasn't Purdy, it was McCaffrey. And I get Lamar is carrying the Ravens, but he has equal help from, like, Derrick
Henry.
Derrick Henry, I don't know how that happened. Yeah, like, it's an equal force between Lamar and Henry. It wasn't in San Fran, but it would almost be like we dropped the ball by not giving it to McCaffrey. We acknowledge that. Derrick Henry has almost 2,000 yards and 20-plus touchdowns. Here's the fucking MVP, my guy. Yeah. Go off, kid.
I think if he would get 2,000 yards, he'd be in. Because the last time a running back won MVP was Adrian Peterson with this 2,000-yard season. So if Derrick Henry, like, you got to break a milestone like that for a non-quarterback at this point to get into the MVP hunt. But
I think over 20 touchdowns is breaking that milestone. If you have over 20 total touchdowns, that's crazy, dude.
McCaffrey had...
Well, I know he did, and he should have been in the hunt. Like, if we were doing this podcast last season, I was talking about how McCaffrey's fucking MVP, dude. Like, what are we talking about?
But no, everyone was more focused that Brock Purdy was MVP. No pot shot at Brock Purdy. I like Brock Purdy.
Well, no, I'll throw fucking pot shots at Brock Purdy. I'll hit that guy with a fucking chair, dude.
You hate Brock Purdy. But Derrick Henry, clear, obvious offensive player of the year.
Yeah,
without a doubt.
Sure.
Like, I don't think it's even close. Just like fantasy MVP. It's Derrick Henry's world, and we're just living in it.
I think Barkley's a close second for offensive player of the year, though. I think if he consistent on this pace that he's also going, it's both of those guys. But that's awesome. That is like 2 running backs for a new system, and they're both just out here shining bright, dude. That run Barkley had where he hurdled over that guy backwards, dude. As a Giants fan, people are like, "Oh, I'd hate to be a Giants fan now." I have no salt in it, dude. Like, I have no skin in the game of Barkley. I love that he's going off. I couldn't be happier, dude. And that play he tried it 2 years ago with the Giants. He just didn't pull it off, but he almost did. And if he did, it would have broke the internet back then. Like, he's that kind of guy. Barkley's just in a whole nother level, dude. Like, he's so good. He's so much fun to watch.
Yeah. Like, people just focus on the backwards hurdle there, but like, the spin move and then the juke, like the whole play was athletic prowess.
It was like watching Madden. It was literally like watching a video game. He's so quick, dude.
I'll also be a homer and throw out Justin Jefferson. Leads the league in receiving yards with Sam Darnold as his quarterback. But the touchdowns aren't there. But he's got 5, which is what he had last year.
Which is
career
still
highs
fine.
10.
It's still fine.
And catches, he only has 48, but he's putting up more explosive numbers. Like he's averaging a career high in catches, yards per reception at 16.3. He's had a 25 plus yard catch in every game this year. He is the Minnesota Vikings offense. As Justin Jefferson goes, that offense goes.
100%. Yeah, like he's always had the big explosive plays, but it's almost like you're using him a little bit in the Jordan Addison role a little bit more this season, where he's having huge explosive plays every single game, even more than once. So like Jefferson's been out. He's been balling, dude. He's been so much fun to watch too.
Yeah. And then defensive player of the year, I'm going chalk. I'm going TJ Watt. The dude's been an absolute dog. He is the Pittsburgh Steelers. As the Steelers go, TJ Watt goes. I hope it's the guy you pick. It should be. Give some love to the big men up front, but I am just going to go with TJ Watt. It's going to be chalk. I'm also going to throw Myles Garrett out there, but he plays for a really bad team. But that dude is just an absolute monster. If he was in Pittsburgh, I think he would be outperforming TJ Watt.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I'm going to give your dude some love. Give your dude some love. He deserves it. I hope. It's a shame you guys aren't good, the team, because if you guys were good, this would be a no-brainer.
I couldn't agree more. Pass rush grade 82.8, sixth in the NFL. Run grade 82.3, second in the NFL. Overall grade 90, second in the NFL in defense. It is Dexter Lawrence of the New York Football Giants. Dexter Lawrence has been playing out of his fucking mind, dude. He has 10 sacks from the defensive tackle position. He is first in the NFL. 10 sacks.
Second.
Not according to PFL.
Trey Hendrickson passed him. He has 11.
Oh, PFF lied to me. They have him first.
They have it by position. He's first among defensive tackles.
It's just okay.
But
it's a defensive
regardless, second in the league as a defensive tackle.
That's like Aaron Donald type shit. And when he was doing it, he was winning Defensive Player of the Year. He is having on pace a season that Aaron Donald would have. Like every statistical stat he has is on par with any season Aaron Donald had. And he won multiple Defensive Player of the Years. Give my boy Sexy Dexy that league MVP. I don't care if you have to screw TJ Watt out of that award 2 years in a row. Dexter Lawrence is having a statistically better season than TJ Watt, and I will die on this hill. And it is way more impressive from the defensive tackle position than it is a defensive end. Dexter Lawrence, by far, is my eyes Defensive Player of the Year.
I would pick him too. Like he would actually be my pick, but I think in the end TJ Watt ends up winning just because
probably. But
edge rushers are seen as more valuable, and Pittsburgh is a better team as well. Usually defensive player of the years, like if you go through look at the history, they're always on a playoff team, and the New York Giants are not that.
We're bad. We are horrendous.
Always bad since 2017. Your guys' first 8 games. You've won 2 games, 1 or 2 games every year in your first 8, except the year you made the playoffs with Brian Dable when you won 6.
Yeah, and even
you're 1-7 or 2-6 in that stretch.
We were still like a back end team that you were a way better back end team, which I hope does not happen this year. I hope that you were 6-2 in the first 8 games that year, but every other year it's been 1-7 or 2-6. Yeah,
you guys are a bad starting team.
Well, no, we're just a bad team with Danny Jones as our quarterback because he's an inept quarterback and he can't score touchdowns. And
that playoff year actually screwed you guys because you guys should have franchised him instead of paying him, and then found a way to pay Barkley instead of franchising Barkley and paying Jones. And then you would have seen Daniel Jones wasn't it, and you could have been in line to draft this season Michael Penix, Drake May, one of those guys. Sure, you miss out on Malik Neighbors, but you get a friend. Like we've seen the rookies play. Drake May, he's been good, and Jaden Daniels has been great. Like you would have had the shot at one of those guys, but you didn't. You've missed out on 2 quarterback classes because of Daniel Jones, and now this class not as great a quarterback.
So worried.
A bunch of teams are bad, so you might be handcuffed to Daniel Jones again, or you're just gonna bring a guy in off the market, play for a year, draft a guy in 2027 or 2026.
We have kind of started scouting quarterbacks, and I love Cam Ward. I like Miami, so I'm just by default hooked to Cam Ward. But on paper, though, he is my quarterback one. He's shining bright. But like you said, we'd have the 7th pick of the draft right now if the season ended, and we're tied for the worst team in football.
Mm-hmm.
And the quarterback class worries the hell out of me. We reached tremendously on Danny Jones, and I am so worried that happens again. If they do not see a franchise quarterback at that pick, trade or draft someone else. Stock the team as much as you can for whatever quarterback you think is capable. Do not reach. Please, for the love of God, do not lock me in the situation of 5 horrendous more years just because we had to reach for some shitty quarterback. Stop it. Go pluck one off the fucking street. I'm cool with Joe Flacco for a year, Andy Dalton for a year, Justin Fields for a year. I'm fine with
Darnold?
this. Oh, sure. I think Sam Darnold should get paid. I don't think he should get a 1-year contract. I think that man should go get a bag.
Yeah. But, so, like, I scouted Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders last year. They're the 2 top quarterbacks in this class, in my eyes. And even then, like, I had them after the big 5.
They were quarterback 6 and 7. Yeah,
McCarthy, for sure. Penix, May, Daniels, Williams. They would have been Sanders was my QB6. Ward was my QB7. Quinn Ewers, who's also in this class, was my QB8. So now they're QB1 and 2 for sure. Ewers, who knows where, that he's a matter of preference. But
you also have Jalen Milrose.
I would have Milroe over him. Milroe was draft eligible last year. Yeah. He wasn't draft eligible last year.
No, but I'm saying this year, yeah.
Yeah, he's my QB3. I think Shedeur and Ward are the only draftable quarterbacks that high. Milroe is Anthony Richardson. He has all the traits. He has the showcase.
Yeah,
he's got big games, but he's also disappeared a bunch.
He has occasionally showed up in big moments, but he also completely disappears. Yeah. The Anthony Richardson comp is pretty good. He's all kind of traits. But Cam Ward's out here. He's having a whole different year with Miami. He didn't have this kind of talent around him last year. He transferred.
Way better than he was last year. Like,
it's the Jaden Daniels situation. Yeah, like he was not this Cam Ward. This Cam Ward this year is different than Cam Ward last year, and he's showing that he's able to. He's progressed every single year for the last 3 years. So that's what the kind of traits I like. If you're getting better every single year, and you're leading this team to the first time they're ranked in the top 5 for years, it's just the kind of attitude you want to bring to a team. And Cam Ward brings that kind of energy. I would love if we were somehow able to get Cam Ward. I'm not as high as on Shedeur as you are. I think there's a whole lot of drama that comes with that. I don't want that much drama in New York. I don't want that drama in New York. There's too much.
That's my QB1, baby. Offensive Rookie of the Year, as we talk about upcoming rookies. It's Jaden Daniels.
Is what,
not even close.
To the next one.
Yep. Defensive Rookie of the Year, I think, is also a lock in Jared Verse.
I agree.
Yeah.
Jared Verse is having an amazing year. But let's realistically not skip too much past Daniels. Let's quick talk about him. Like, he's having an amazing season. He's so clean with the ball. It's everything you've seen from LSU translated to Washington. I didn't hear anyone, I don't want to sound too fucking hoity-toity over here, but no, I didn't hear any type of analyst hyping up Washington throughout the offseason. I sat here proudly and said, I think Washington could be very good. That
was your bold prediction. You thought they could make the playoffs or win the division.
And
look where we are.
It's going to happen. Like, if they're going on this pace, Washington should get the division. They're going to make the playoffs. Daniels and fucking Dan Quinn, dude, they have a great coach team, a great core. They have
changed the culture of a bad franchise.
Exactly. They brought in culture changers with Bobby Wagner, Austin Eckler. Jaden Daniels is a culture guy. Dan Quinn is a great, minded coach. The Commanders are doing everything they need to do in fucking Washington, and hats off to them, dude. I hate that they're in my division.
Yeah, let's talk about let's run through the rookie draft class. Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Drake May, Caleb Williams, Spencer Rattler. They've been the quarterbacks that played. Michael Penix played for like 3 snaps, but nothing there. We'll get Rattler out of the way. He had flashes, but he's what exactly he was when he was. He's a backup quarterback, a 5th-round guy, developmental dude. Like you said, he had some moments where he's like, "Whoa, this guy could be a pro quarterback," and then he had some bad moments where he's like, "Okay, yeah, this is a 5th-round rookie here."
Yep. Yeah, everything you touched on, like Rattler, that's what he was in college. He was very spotty, and that's what happened in New Orleans. He went out there his first game, and he looked decent. He looked fine. Like, he After that first game, we were like, oh, New Orleans is in a way better spot than we thought they'd be in. And his next start was statistically one of the worst starts in NFL history. And we were like, oh, no, there's Spencer Rattler. I liked Rattler coming out, not a whole bunch, but he's a decent backup, and I think that's what he's going to be throughout his NFL career. It's just a backup.
Yeah. PFF grades, how do you think the 4 quarterbacks that have played rank out between Daniels, Nix, May, and Williams?
Daniels 1, Nix 2. I guess Caleb, Drake May. I would go.
Caleb's last at 61.1. That's his PFF grade. He's the 33rd ranked quarterback in the league. Drake May and Bo Nix are tied at 66.5. So close to Caleb in the PFF rankings. Caleb
Daniels
is yellow.
Has to be ranked like top 10.
May and Bo Nix are green. They're both 27. And then Jaden Daniels is the 3rd ranked quarterback in football based off PFF with an 88.6.
Hell yeah, brother.
He's been incredible. And like,
he's so
there's
clean with
nothing
the ball.
more. Like, you've heard us talk about him over through fantasy. Like, he's just like he's a great football player. He's putting it all together. Like, coming in, all that college experience has showed, and like it's working. Terry McLaurin's a low end wide receiver 1 at this point in fantasy. It's working wonders in Washington. Bo Nix, he's been good in Denver. He's had up and downs. He's had 3 bad games, but he's had games where he's been really good. Like, he's way more athletic than even I thought he was. Like, I liked Bo Nix's athleticism. Like, you could see he could run, and he's been a great running quarterback in the NFL, which has brought him fantasy value. But he's also done a great job running the Sean Payton offense with incredibly inefficient running backs, which Sean Payton's offense usually produces running backs, and it takes the ease off the quarterback. He hasn't had that, and he's looked good. He's made Cortland Sutton relevant again. Him and Troy Franklin started getting on the same page. Devon Vele, like, he's making all these guys better. Bo Nix might be better than what we thought he was, where we thought he's like, hey, he's just like a good floor guy. Like, you're not going to be upset with Bo Nix. He's never going to be more than like a top 17 quarterback.
Yeah.
And maybe there is more upside with Bo Nix than we thought. Like, you were higher on him than I was, but I've been impressed with Bo Nix.
Yeah, I liked Bo a little bit more than you did, and even I'm still impressed on what he's doing here with. It is a really good coached team, and he has some talent around him, more so on the defensive side of the ball. But Cortland Sutton's a really good receiver to have. They need to get this guy a really good running game. Like, it would be a disservice to him, especially with the coaching staff that they have in Denver. They know how to use running backs. Get this guy a really good running back. Take the weight load off of him on down and distance. Don't get this guy Danny Jones. Don't get him beat up. Like, he's very athletic, but he doesn't need to be out here taking 20-yard runs. Get him a good running game. Use his running ability when you need it. And Bo Nix should have a very successful career with Sean Payton.
Use him as a wide receiver, too.
Hey, man, he's big body. Big body Bo, baby.
He had that jump ball from Cortland Sutton against Baltimore, and it was incredible. Like,
crazy.
And then Drake May, despite the terrible offensive line in New England and the lack of weapons, this dude, he was my QB2, has looked the part. Like,
yeah, he looks good.
Like, you guys in New York, you wanted Drake May. It's like a known commodity. You guys were trying to move up for him, and New England stood still, and they took him.
Yeah.
And we're seeing it. Like, he is going to put it together this offseason, get him some protection, get him some weapons.
Yep.
And I think the sky's the limit for Drake May. I've always thought that. But he has been better than I expected coming in with the inefficiencies of the New England offense. Like, he's putting it together.
I agree. It's a very stacked receiver draft class coming up. There's it's very top-heavy offensive linemen, to my knowledge, right now. There's some really good talent offensive line on the top of the board. But I would like to see them go out there and get him a trusted, proven number 1 option. Go out there and, like, it's very
Travis
easy.
Hunter.
It's very easy that, no, I'm talking about like trading for a receiver or signing one in the market. It's very easy to accommodate. Like, it's easy to
DJ Moore might be available.
That is very true. Just get this guy a proven receiver and then get him some younger receivers. You don't have to spend early picks because it's New England. They're not going to spend early picks on receivers.
And they necessarily don't have to. They drafted Jalen Polk and Javon Baker last year.
For sure. And I think those two guys mixed with a proven number 1 would be an amazing receiving crew for Drake May. You need to get this guy protection, though. Like, he can't be running for his life.
Yeah. What about T. Higgins?
Perfect. There's a great fit. Go out there and get T. Higgins. Pair him with Jalen Polk. That would be a great receiving crew. Ramondre's a very feasible running back. It would be nice.
So he's going to be the guy there.
They paid him a lot. But it would be nice to get some type of like a better,
trusted backup that's not Antonio Gibson or JaMychal Hasty.
The way I'm going to word this is just a better Antonio Gibson. Get that man a better catchy back, even if it's just Jaleel McLaughlin from Denver.
Yeah,
just get
him
a
strong rookie running back class coming in.
Great rookie running back class, great hands in it too. So yeah, get this guy a catching back that can take the look off.
And then Caleb Williams, he's had up and downs. He hasn't been the number one guy that everyone projected, but you've seen those moments where he's like, oh, this guy is it. And then he's had some bad plays. Like, I imagine this is what, and like, I hate the Patrick Mahomes comparison with him, but like, I imagine if Patrick Mahomes played his rookie year, it would have been very similar to the struggles Caleb Williams is going through.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes, like,
very flashy.
It's coaching. Like, that's what I think it is. Like, Shane Waldron is a terrible offensive coordinator. Matt Eberflus is not an NFL head coach. So, like, it sucks because going into next year, he's probably going to have to learn new things. But I think Caleb Williams is going to be fine. But he hasn't been the true blue chipper that, like, everyone expected him to be. It's been more Jaden Daniels. And I think that's what's, like, people are like, oh, Caleb Williams is good. It's because of how good Jaden Daniels is.
Yeah. Well, they're also going off the season Stroud had last year. As these rookie quarterbacks are out here putting up huge performances. And I get Jaden Daniels is doing it again this year, but it doesn't happen every year. And Caleb Williams is having a feasible, fine rookie season. He's going to make mistakes, especially with a terrible coached team. And that's what really worries me about the Bears, dude. Like, they did it to Trubisky, they did it to Fields, and they're going to do it to Caleb Williams. They fire their head coach, offensive coordinator, every single time they draft a quarterback, giving him a whole new system to learn. That does fuck with a quarterback. Like, it's a lot to learn a system, and now it's essentially a rookie season again in a whole new season. It's just that he played once. The whole thing with DJ Moore, it's weird in Chicago. I get they're only 4-4 now or something like that, but you're still fine. You just playing a tough division. Just play out the rest of the season, see how it goes. But you all need to get on a better page down there offensively in Chicago.
Yeah. All right, running backs. A bunch of them haven't really played, but the ones who have played the most, Bucky Irving for Tampa Bay, Ray Davis for Buffalo, Braylon Allen for the Jets, Tyrone Tracy for you guys, and then Carson Steele. According to PFF, those are the guys who have played like the amount of snaps to be eligible for running back rankings. But like, Trey Benson hasn't played a ton. He's showed flashes, but like there's been
touchdown last week.
He did. It was a nice play. It looked great. But James Conner's there. Like, Trey Benson is not going to be overly involved. Blake Corum, same thing. Kyron Williams is in front of him. Not going to play. Jonathan Brooks, injured. Chuba Hubbard's there. He's going to be feasting. He might actually play this week, so I'm interested to see where he goes. Marshawn Lloyd also.
He should be making his debut in Germany.
Yeah.
So
Marshawn Lloyd hasn't played at all this year, and then Jalen Wright's been behind Achane and Mostert, and he's shown flashes. Like, he's got the burst. Like, you've seen it there. But among, and even Garendo had moments there. I was just going to say,
Garendo played, and he's looked good when he played, but that's the San Fran thing. They can plug in a running back. But Garendo, you really liked Garendo coming out, and I liked him a little bit. And what he did well is what you've seen him do in San Fran already. So he's
a one-cut runner.
And they're using him to his strength, and he looked good. I think he's going to be on that roster. He's going to be on rosters for a couple years to come.
Yeah, and then Kamani Vidal, he's played a bit. He's looked all right. And Audric Estime, who's got a fumbling problem, and he's pretty much phased out there in Denver. He barely was on the field this week.
I'm actually going to bring up new reports are coming out that Sean Payton is going to get him more involved. Coming out this week.
At this point, because Javonte Williams is so all over the place. Jaleel McLaughlin hasn't been good. But let's talk about the ones PFF-wise, grade-wise. Bucky Irving, Ray Davis, Braylon Allen, Tyrone Tracy. I'm disregarding Carson Steele. No disrespect. He's a fine player, but he's nothing more than a backup running back who he's also got a fumbling problem.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm not much of a Steele guy. But those other four guys, man, have all looked really good. I think it's 4. You say 4 or 5?
Allen,
Irving,
Tracy, Davis, and Irving.
Yeah, those guys have all looked really good. Braylon Allen's looked a lot better than I thought he would be. He's so young and so raw, and they're using him great. They're using him to, like, 2 years ago, Wisconsin, Braylon Allen, not last year's. and he's looking every bit of it. Tyrone Tracy, dude, he's been going off for us too, dude. He's been probably the best rookie running back. If I had to, not to pick a giant, but I would pick Tyrone Tracy to be the best rookie running back right now.
If I had to pick a team whose rookie draft class has performed the best, I'm picking the New York Giants.
I agree.
You guys did a wonderful job this year. And Tyrone Tracy, I've said it all through the offseason when you guys drafted him, that this guy was eventually going to take over Devin Singletary's job, because Devin Singletary is just a fine running back. He's not a guy who's going to lock down the job. Singletary missed time. Tyrone Tracy stepped in, and he hasn't lost that job. He has been great.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll eat my words on that. I thought Singletary would be more involved, but Tyrone Tracy ripped the ball out of his hands, and he has not stopped. And I'm glad, dude. Like, he's so much more of what I want in a running back than Singletary. Like, he's so burst heavy, and he's so quick with the ball, and he's got really good hands. Tyrone Tracy should be a pretty good fantasy option if he's the starting running back next year.
Yeah, and you guys are bad, so get the young guys out there, see what they got.
Hell yeah.
And then I want to toot our own horn with Bucky Irving. He's looked incredible.
Yeah, dude.
Like,
I agree.
It was, he had a bad combine. This dude's slow. I don't care. His tape was great, and it has transitioned. He has looked wonderful for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yep. Yeah, like, he looked so good in Oregon, and I get he had a bad combine, but what he did in Oregon is what you're going to do on the NFL field. What you do at the combine has nothing to really do with NFL play. Like, he's running straight lines. I get he looked slow in some of the drills, but when you put him on a field, he is so much faster than his tape.
He's like game speed.
Bucky Irving, dude, I'm so happy it paid off. He was my running back 3, I think. He might have been your 3 too. Like, Bucky Irving, I hope to God Tampa really gives this guy a shot, dude. Like, White isn't going to be your every down back. Bucky Irving possibly could.
Yeah. And Ray Davis, in the sample size, he got the start that one game. He looked incredible, and he had a big 70-yard catch this past week. Buffalo's using him in the pass game more so than the run game, and he's looked great. We were big fans, an older prospect, and that's probably why he fell, but he has transitioned well in Buffalo and has been a great backup to James Cook.
For sure. He's been looking amazing when he gets the opportunity. I think they're just going to give him a little bit more opportunity every game from here on out. It's not going to take away from Cook, but the opportunity you give him, he's going to shine with it. He's that kind of back. He doesn't let opportunity slip through his hands often. Like, he grew up struggling. He played on 3 or 4 different colleges, and he led every single one of them in rushing yards. I think it's not going to happen with the Bills, most likely, but he will be a NFL leading rusher for like a team at some point in his career.
Yeah. All right, wide receivers. We had the deep class. Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze, Brian Thomas, Xavier Worthy, Ricky Pearsall, Xavier Leggett, all first-round guys. And then you got guys like Keon Coleman, Ladd McConkey, Jalen Polk, Adonai Mitchell in the second round. And this class has mostly performed. Keon Coleman has played better than I thought he was. He's been more and more involved since Amari Cooper's been there. He's looked great. Like, he looks like he's picked up the offense. Josh Allen's using him. I love that he has progressed so well, so quick. Malik Neighbors has been an absolute dog in New York. He's been the best of the rookie receivers, but the gap between him and the number 2 guy is very small. And the number 2 guy right now is not Marvin Harrison Jr. It is Malik Neighbors running mate in LSU. My dude, Brian Thomas Jr. in Jacksonville. He's more than just a deep ball receiver. I said that. That's what his tape showed, but like, you could see the nuances that he could develop a route tree, and he has so far, and he's been the piece in Jacksonville. He's been their best offensive player. His hands he's dropped some passes, but they're not as bad as it was. He's not doing as much basket catching as he was in college. He's looking like a true number 1 wide receiver. I'm shocked at how quick he's put it together.
Yeah, just like Jameis Winston eats those W's, I'll happily eat my words on Brian Thomas Jr., even though I did say he's going to have a great rookie season, and then we'll see from where it goes from there on out. I'm not worried about it. His route tree has developed. He's a whole different player. He doesn't really look like Brian Thomas Jr. did at LSU in my eyes, to be honest. He's playing a whole different level. He stopped doing that dumbass lean thing LSU receivers do. I'm glad that's out of his system already. He broke it quick as hell.
Jefferson still does it.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to hype on Chase still does it too. Malik also still does it. But Brian Thomas, dude, he's looked amazing. His route tree's great. His hands are great. He's not a deep threat, like only a deep threat option. But when you use him as a deep threat option, he's elite. He's one of the best in the NFL right now as a deep threat option. Hey, man, I'm happy to be wrong. I love when kids go out there and prove me wrong. It only makes me like them more that you were able to step up. Make me eat my words, dude. Brian Thomas is looking like a fire-ass receiver in this draft class.
18th in PFF receiver grade, third among the rookies. Malik Neighbors is one. Number two, Jalen Coker. I like Jalen Coker. He was a top 20 wide receiver for me. He's in Carolina, undrafted dude out of Holy Cross. Steve Smith actually got me on to Jalen Coker. He did a little tape watch. He was like, dude, this dude can run routes. Like, why is he at Holy Cross and not at a big school? And like, so I watched a little more tape. Like, yeah, this guy could be a wide receiver. And now Deontay Johnson's gone. I think Jalen Coker, he's a name to keep an eye on in the dynasty community. Even redraft, he might be the wide receiver 2 or even 1 with Leggett. Like, their playing time is pretty similar.
They traded Mingo,
I hope, I hope Carolina goes out there, runs Coker and Leggett as the outside guys and Thielen in the slot. Like, let these two young dudes shine, and Bryce Young's looking a little better. Let them all develop together.
He's looking a little bit better. I'll give you the Bryce Young thing, and he should be the quarterback from here on out. They're not in the situation Indianapolis is. Like, Anthony Richardson is actively taking that team away from a playoff spot. They play in a division that they can win. Carolina can't win the division. Go out there, see if Bryce Young can connect with these young receivers. You got Jonathan Brooks coming back. See how he does with Bryce Young. You got the young tight end too. Start using these guys. Start using these guys with Bryce Young to see what you have there. Because like, you can't give up on Bryce yet. And if you do, you got to at least give him some type of resume where you can trade him for dirt. If you can trade him for a 4th, you got to be happy with it. So go see what he has, and if he's not it, you're going to have to move on at some point. But at least give the dude a shot to see what he has with the young guys.
Yeah. Marvin Harrison, 4th overall pick. The hype was real. He's the 23rd ranked receiver in PFF. He's number 4 among rookies. And, like, I think we fall into the Caleb Williams situation where people are just like, oh, he's not good. Malik Neighbors has been better than him. But, like, Marv's been good when Arizona, they're starting to turn the corner. Like, they're starting to, like, actually scheme plays for this elite wide receiver talent. And he's looked better here the last few weeks. Are you concerned that, like, Arizona slips back to what they were doing early on where they weren't using Marv? Or do you think this is just Marvin Harrison? We're going to see it in the second half of the season from this guy.
I still stand in the same boat I have for Marv all off season. I thought he was very overdrafted at the 1-2 turn. I don't think he should have been receiver 8 or 9 where he was going. I had him ranked like 18 or something like that, and I didn't think that was too out of the question. And for him to be 23, I think he's going to have a fine back end of the season, but I think he's going to finish around where he's been all season. I think he's going to move up a little bit. I think his back end of the season is a little bit better, or it's more consistent, I should say. The back end of his season is going to be more consistent than the front end. But I don't think he's going to have this huge run where he has like 2020, 2020. I don't think that's in the realm of possibility this year for Marv in Arizona.
What about from a real life standpoint, though? You think
he's great? He's great.
Yeah.
He's great. He's amazing.
What about Rome Odunze? He's the big one. Like, playing time hasn't been there for him because they got Keenan Allen, they got DJ Moore. So he's 3rd in the pecking order, 4th if you count Cole Kmet. Like, they kind of bounce back and forth. Yeah.
Last week,
I think, yeah, he did. This past week here against Arizona. Like, I think Chicago needs to lean more into, like, all right, like, we're not this hype team that's going to make the playoffs. We're at best 500 team. Let's get Rome Odunze out there and see if he was worth that 9th overall selection.
Yeah, I think you've seen the flashes, and you've seen it on paper so far, a couple games here and there. I get they're 4-4, and they play in a really hard division, so they're probably not going to make the playoffs. At best, they're looking at 8-9 wins probably. That's not going to get you a playoff spot in that division, especially in the NFC in general. You got to get Rome on the field at this point. You got to get Rome on the field, not just to see what you have, because I know what Rome has. And when he gets on the field consistently, he's going to shine just like Marv has here and there. Malik Neighbors has been shining consistently. Brian Thomas Jr. has. Rome, I think, is in the same ballpark with all these guys still.
Yeah. Yeah. From a real life standpoint, he's 81st ranked wide receiver in football on PFF. Like, he's down there with Bub Means. That no disrespect to Bub Means. We love Bub Means here on the Drafted Up podcast, but
big Bub Means guys.
Rome, dude, the draft differential between those guys is large.
Couple rounds. I get it. But I'm not worried about it because it's Chicago. Chicago is just a so poorly coached offense, dude, and that does worry me. I'm not gonna lie. If I'm looking at like a dynasty rankings going into the year, I had Rome 2. Now I would have him under Brian Thomas, under Malik, under Marv, under
4.
Oh, just off the top of my head, Keon Coleman maybe. Keon Coleman has been looking really good. I had Keon Coleman ranked in my top 5 receivers going into the class regardless, and with Cooper there, he's able to just body people. He doesn't have to be the one and eat this double coverage where you're not double covering him anymore, and it's showing. He is bully balling these corners because he's such a big physical guy.
Yeah.
And I love Keon Coleman going forward.
And, how about the rest of the guys drafted first round? Xavier Worthy, Ricky Pearsall, Xavier Legette. Rest of season, rank them in terms of production.
Legette, I think Pearsall is going to be more consistent than Worthy. I'm not going to lie to you.
I agree. We're going the same order. Legette, Pearsall, Worthy.
Last I checked on that Monday night game, Worthy had negative points. He had like negative 10 yards. He
had 0 catches, and he had 1 rush for negative 2 yards.
I don't want to be like that guy beating a dead horse on Worthy. He's just not that kind of receiver. Like, you can't really, you have to scheme plays for this guy. So he's only seen the ball 4 or 5 times a game to where I think Ricky Pearsall can get 4 to 5 catches a game.
Yeah, especially with Ayuk out, Juwan Jennings can't stay healthy. Debo's always banged up. Like, Ricky Pearsall, I think he's going to be fine going forward. I think he's going to be incredibly involved in the San Fran offense. Worthy does worry me just because he is a scheme guy. They also just got DeAndre Hopkins. Travis Kelce's there.
Hopkins is consistently
might
better
be
too.
back
He
at
had 2
some
touchdowns.
point. But Kareem Hunt's been involved. So
much.
Worthy, like, he just keeps going down the list in terms of where he is on this offense. Like, Worthy, I think, going forward, he probably has a great future. But, like, going forward this year, I don't know where he stands in Legette. They just got rid of Deontay Johnson. Legette scored a touchdown last week. He's getting more involved in the offense. So I would trust Pearsall and Worthy, or Pearsall and Legette more than I would Xavier Worthy going forward. And then the second round guys, Keon Coleman has blown away. Like, I would rank him above those guys. Ladd McConkey's also starting to turn it on. He's looking
I would put him
great.
above too. Yep.
And Jalen Polk, not so much. He's actually the worst ranked receiver based off PFF among the rookies. 130th overall. Yeah. Jared Mayo called him soft. Not a great start for Polk. I'm not overly worried about it, but again, second round draft pick, New England has no problems just cutting ties with guys. And then Adonai Mitchell was the other guy, and he just hasn't been involved enough for me to really warrant an opinion of where he's going forward. Like, he should be more involved. Like, I would rather see him on the field than Alec Pierce, but
I agree.
Pierce is a guy that the offense loves, the coaching staff loves, so he's going to get on the field.
Yep. Yeah, the guy that was drafted after Adonai Mitchell was Malachi Corley, who had one of the dumbest fucking plays I've ever seen. And it breaks my heart, dude, because he was one of my favorite receivers in the draft class, and that should have been such a good moment for you, dude. And it was all taken away because you're dumb. No offense, like, you're my guy, but you why would you drop the ball before you're going into the end zone? Hold that that ball is going home with you. Why are you dropping it? What are you doing?
Realistically, all the receivers drafted in the third round really haven't done much. Luke McCaffrey hasn't been on the field a ton. Roman Wilson hasn't been on the field at all. Jermaine Burton, he's looking like he was in college. He just can't keep his head straight. Malachi Corley finally got a chance, but he hasn't been involved, and Aaron Rodgers probably hates him now. McMillan's been involved due to injury, but, like, he didn't play on Monday. He hasn't been great. So, but again, third round guys, like, going down, like the guys after that. Troy Franklin, he's getting more involved, but hasn't been stellar. Javon Baker can't see the field. Tez Walker hasn't been active at all. Like, Jacob Cowing might be the guy who has the most involvement, and that's just due to injury in San Francisco.
Yeah, Bub Memes had a little bit of involvement in New Orleans.
He's on
He looked
IR
fi-
now.
Yeah, he looked fine the one game and then irrelevant the other, but he hit IR. Johnny Wilson seeing a little bit of playing time in Philly. He had a pass interference call I seen the other day. He pushed off a guy.
Yeah.
But like these guys aren't really playing.
Like the late round guys, it's Jordan Whittington, and he was really in due to injury, and Devon Vele.
Yep.
And now
Yep,
Whittington, Cooper Cup's back, Puka Nakua's back, so Whittington now becomes like the fourth option because Marcus Robinson falls back in his role. Devon Vele might have
Tutu
upside.
Atwell's also there too.
Yeah, and Tyler Johnson. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
my dude Malik Washington, he's playing more, but
here and there,
he hasn't been overly involved in Miami. He might be a guy to watch rest of the season going forward. But again, these guys are 5th round, 6th round, 7th round, 4th round draft picks.
Troy Franklin is someone to keep an eye on for the rest of the season. He went to school with Bo Nix, so they have some type of pre-existing chemistry. And he is getting involved more in the offense here on out. He did kind of drop the ball last week. But I think going forward, Troy Franklin's a guy to watch out. I would love to see Roman Wilson get on the field in Pittsburgh. I don't know if that guy
he's on IR now.
Yeah, I don't know if that guy pissed in Mike Tomlin's Cheerios. I just don't understand.
Mike Tomlin's like an elite level Dennis Allen. Like, you got to be healthy, and Roman Wilson wasn't healthy coming in to training camp, so he missed a bunch of time. And now he's hurt again and on IR, so maybe next year we see Roman Wilson in Pittsburgh. But let's talk offensive tackles. Joe Alt, top of the class. This dude's incredible.
Yeah, the dude's a legitimate dog, dude. He's so fucking good.
J.C. Latham, he's had his rookie struggles, but he's been better than I thought he was going to be so far. And Talise Fuaga's been really good at left tackle. I'm glad to see like the Saints are actually giving him a shot there.
Yeah,
and then Tyler Guyton.
Yeah.
Why is Dallas playing this dude? And why are they playing him at left tackle?
Yeah, they're really...
He's bad.
They're going like, oh, let's just believe that this guy's good. He played like 8 college games in his career.
Yeah.
8 in his career.
He's Anthony Richardson.
Bingo.
But, he's protecting your franchise quarterback.
Bingo.
That might be worse.
It is worse because you have a man who is trying to stop 250, 300-pound men from hurting Dak Prescott, who is now sitting on the IR because Tyler Guyton is not an NFL tackle. He was not ready to play.
He was a sit and wait guy, and Dallas drafted this dude and played him in a position he never played. Left tackle.
He
was a right tackle.
At left tackle.
Like, watching his tape, I was like, oh, this dude is a true NFL right tackle. He's big. Yep. He will do great in that role. And Dallas says, let's put him at left. And he's been bad. Terrible.
Yeah, for sure. They drafted him and just fed him to the wolves, dude. And I feel so bad for him. He's not ready. He's getting blown up. He's getting picked apart on.
Same with Olu Fashanu.
And that breaks my heart.
And they're playing him at guard. Well, a position he's never played due to injury. So, like, that's why he's there. Like, the Jets line can't stay healthy, so they're like, hey, we got to put you at guard. And it's cool, get him the rest, but, like, he's been bad at guard. And I'm not worried about him going forward. I think he's going to be a good tackle. But not a great start for him, kind of just getting thrown in the lineup. Same with Amarius Mims.
I'm a little worried about him. I did cool a little bit on Fashanu entering really close to draft season. He was pretty high on my board, but then like 2 or 3 weeks before draft, I'm like, I really started to pick him apart, and I'm like, you can really bully this guy if you get your hands on him first. You can really just push this guy back. And then they kicked him on the inside to where he's getting defensive tackles who are now just pushing this guy back. It worries me playing guard.
His pass blocking grade is 35. The next lowest at tackle among rookies is 50.
Well, that was also his big thing. Like, he could run block like a motherfucker coming out, but his pass protection was weary. So
it's not a great start
to keep an eye on.
Amarius Mims also kind of been thrown to the wolves here in Cincinnati due to Orlando Brown, Trent Brown getting hurt. Yeah. So Mims, he hasn't looked great either, but again, he was also a project tackle, like sit and wait. Like, he got thrown to the wolves. And Roger Rosengarten, he's getting a ton of playing time. Started shaky, but he's getting better. More reps.
He's figuring it out.
Yeah. And then Brandon Coleman from TCU, who went to Washington, he's looked great. Like, he might have solved Washington's tackle problem. Like, I thought he was going to be a guard, but they're playing him a tackle, giving him the shot there, and he's been great for them.
For sure.
Jordan Morgan, I still think he's a guard, and Green Bay is persistent that he's going to be a tackle. He's barely played, hasn't been great. Troy Fatanu has been hurt, which is a shame, but I'm not worried about him going forward. And then, like,
Yeah, for sure.
none of the other guys, like Kingsley Suamatea, Chiefs drafted him in the second round. He
They
started
tried.
the year, and he is
They tried. They tried starting
off.
that guy, and they're
Yeah.
like, "You need to sit on this bench here, boy. You're not good enough."
Yeah, like we thought he was a project guy going forward, and they're just like, oh, let's put him in. Let's put him in, and it hasn't worked.
I
And
remember watching the first game of the year. Like we watched it together because we watch
like,
football together.
why is this guy playing?
And their starting lineup comes across the board, and it's like Kingsley Suamatea, and you and I look at each other and go, "What? Why are they starting this guy? He cannot be ready for the NFL." And he was not ready for the NFL.
Yeah, and then you got Delmar Glaze from Maryland, who went to Vegas in the third. I had a 5th round grade on, but he's been all right. Like I actually think,
clean.
like,
Yeah.
I think Vegas. I think he's earned a shot to be the right tackle next year.
I agree. He'll get a shot. He's been a lot cleaner than I thought he would be. I thought they reached on it a little bit, but hey, man, we're just couch scouts here.
Yeah. And then the other guys, they haven't played much at all, like Kieran Amagaji, Caden Wallace, those guys.
Paul
So they're
playing down in Miami. Is he playing?
he doesn't have a PFF grade. So
he was a guy that was really ready for the NFL. I wasn't really high on him, but he was.
He has played 62 snaps this year. He's got a 54 grade, which in the minimal time, it's right below Tyler Guyton.
Okay.
And Troy Fatanu, he doesn't hit the MAC either, but he's right there with like Talise Fawanga. And then Matt Congalaves, Pittsburgh offensive tackle who went to Indy. He's starting to play more. He's starting over at right tackle. His draft grade or his PFF grade right now is on par with Joe Alt's. And he looked good against Minnesota too.
Mm-hmm.
I caught him. He's a great run blocker. Not so much pass blocking. Dallas Turner got around him a few times, and Turner hasn't been great this year.
That's saying a lot.
He hasn't hit the snap minimum, Dallas Turner, but this was the most he played this past week against Indy. They want to get him more involved, and then true pass rusher, just let him rush the quarterback. That's where he's going to thrive right now. He was a developmental guy going in, like his pass rush work was great, but
you got to let his traits shine. Like he's a pure pass rusher right now. So go out there. He's not going to be able to run block. He can't do all the fake coverage. He's not going to kick back out. He's not fucking an elite rusher yet. Like get this guy just rushing the quarterback. Go get sacks. Get some reps.
Yep.
Get the guy in the field.
Let him pin his ears back and do his job.
Yeah.
Guard wise, Dominic Puny, who I loved coming out of Kansas, has been great for San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
Like his PFF grade is on par with Joe Alt's, who's the superstar of this class. Like you came out after 4 weeks of football and said Joe Alt's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
and he's arguably one of the top 7 right tackles in football. But Dominic Puny has locked up the guard position for San Francisco in a position they absolutely needed help with. He's been wonderful there, and really, like Green Bay finally moved Jordan Morgan the guard. Look at that.
Whoa.
And his draft, his PFF grade is great.
Yeah.
And that's where Jackson Powers Johnson is as well. He's been passable, but again, guard wasn't a position he was overly great at in college. So
exactly.
We'll see if he develops there.
He was one of those guys that really cooled off really close to draft time. There was talks he was going top 15, and then come draft time, it just didn't happen. He fell to 44.
He had some medical issues. Isaiah Adams, Cardinals drafted him in the 3rd round. He hasn't played a ton, but he's been good when he's on. He's starting to play more. He got to start recently. The guards really, like, you could see offensive line position, like, they're not going to play. Zach Zinner is playing, and he's terrible. Like, he's one of the worst guards in football.
Cooper Beebe's been playing, right?
They're playing him at center because Dallas logic, let's put this guy at a position he's never played.
He's not playing
guard? He's playing center, and he's been terrible.
That's crazy, dog.
I like Cooper Beebe. I think he's smart enough to get the position down, but a 3rd round rookie and you're throwing him at center where you got to, pretty much run the offense on the offensive line. And one of the guys you're trying to help is freaking Tyler Guyton. No. Like, I feel bad for Zach Martin because he's sandwiched between those dudes.
Yeah, that is rough. Maybe that's their mindset. If you just sandwich a really good guard with shit around it, he'll be able to make up for it, and it's a struggle.
I would assume Dallas's plan is once Martin goes or their right guard leaves,
kick him out.
Cooper Beebe slides into that position. But realistically, the only guard really putting up productive numbers is Dominic Puny right now.
Yeah. Makes
And then
sense.
centers, Zach Frazier, before he got injured,
baby boy,
it was a top 5 center.
yeah,
Like,
zero
an
penalty,
absolutely
zero
maniac.
penalties all season, dude. He is
Yeah.
a dog, dude. We talked about
Yeah.
him a lot from West Virginia. He was like a state college champ wrestler, dude, and you
Mhm.
see it, dude. His leg power is crazy. He's so quick off the ball. Zach Frazier is going to be a center to be talked about
Yeah.
for sure for the long time.
Yeah, he's locking down that spot in Pittsburgh, and he's going to be fabulous there. And if Troy Fatanu gets healthy, you got 2 great building blocks there in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, the other centers, like Graham Barton hasn't been great this year, which is a shame.
Yeah.
But again, center, not a position he's ever actually played. Like, he was just super athletic offensive lineman.
Mhm.
So he's going to get better with reps
He's gonna be
at
fine.
center.
Yeah.
And
I'm not
like
worried.
Cooper Beebe, I think same situation. If he gets stuck playing center, he'll get better with reps. And then Tanner Bortolini from the Colts, rookie offensive lineman. Him and Conglaves have been really good this year from center. So we'll see how it goes. It's really been those guys at the center position. Defense-wise, Jared Verse.
Yeah.
Defensive end.
Jared Verse has been so good, dude.
Yep. He was our pick for Defensive Player of the Year, and he has just been a dog for the Rams. Like, ain't nobody stopping him. Like, he sees you in front of him, he's running your ass over.
Yeah, it was him, Latu, and Dallas Turner were all considered the top 3 edge rushers in this draft, and Verse is by far the best. Like, Latu has been very good.
Latu's been really good.
He is very good, but Jared Verse is just above, like, steps above him at this point, which is crazy. I love Latu. I had him ranked above. Jared Verse is just, he does everything just a little bit better. And there's nothing bad about that for Latu. Latu is still going to be a very good defensive end, but Jared Verse is going to be in talks for Defensive Player of the Year at some point.
Player of the Year, yep. Yeah, he has been absolutely great for the Rams. Like, they got themselves, like, everybody's just like, oh, they got to replace Aaron Donald. Well, replacing a Hall of Fame defensive tackle is really hard, but you get a pass rusher, it makes up for the defensive tackles, no matter who you have there. And Jared Verse has just been an absolute maniac. Latu's been good as well. But the other first-round guys, Dallas Turner hasn't been on the field because tough defense to learn with Brian Flores, but he's getting more reps. Like, he looked good on Sunday. He was getting to the quarterback. It helped that Stonefoot Joe Flacco. But Chop Robinson hasn't been overly involved in Miami. Darius Robinson hasn't played in Arizona. Those are your first-round guys. Nealon out for the year. Chris Braswell, Jonah Ellis. These guys aren't getting productive reps. And again, late round guys. Austin Booker has looked good in a pass rush role for Chicago, which is nice to see because we had questions with him, like, productive, like we thought he was just going to be this athletic freak, and then he didn't test well, and then, like, his tape wasn't great, but he had a great Senior Bowl. And Chicago, he's done well in a situational role there.
Yeah, for sure. You would like to see a little more development out of the guys towards the top. Like Chop, he was a development guy. He's not going to be ready right away, so don't expect Chop Robinson to be on the field. But then Darius Robinson, who is ready, he's been hurt all season, so he hasn't had the ability to be on the field. So it's like a combination of guys who aren't ready to play, and then the ones who are ready to play have just been set back by injury. So there's not a lot of defensive ends out here producing right now.
Yeah. And defensive tackle, Rook Aurora was the first one picked, and he hasn't hit a snap minimum to even get a PFF grade. So
he has 3 tackles on the year.
I don't know what Atlanta's doing there. Johnny Newton started the year hurt. He's playing a little bit more. He hasn't been great, but Tavondre Sweat has been a fucking beast.
I'm so glad to hear that
this dude would be playing the insane amount of snaps. He's played 318 snaps on the year, which is second among the rookie defensive tackles, only behind Braden Fisk. And Braden Fisk ain't built like Tavondre Sweat.
No, Brandon Fisk is having a very nice season too, but Sweat to be able to do what he did in college, like I didn't think he'd be able to do this in the NFL. Like he's playing a ton of snaps at a really good level too. So I'm very impressed that his cardio is what it is. He's not tapping out of games on 3rd and goal because he's tired, Anthony Richardson. So he's a big dude, and he's out here working his ass off for the Titans, dude. So I'm happy to see that he's putting in the work.
Yeah, and his running mate, Byron Murphy, the second, is the second-rated defensive tackle as a rookie. He's having a nice year for Seattle in a situational role. And then, like, Chris Jenkins hasn't played a ton. He's about to because BJ Hill's hurt.
Yeah.
So Chris Jenkins going to step in,
Time
and we
to
love
step
Chris
up.
Jenkins. So I hope it pays off there. Mekhi Wingo has looked pretty good for Detroit. I didn't think he'd be playing as much as he would early on here. I thought he was more of a developmental guy, but he's getting some playing time. 6th-round dude out of LSU. He's got the tools, so we'll see if he puts it together. But really, those are the only ones. And then Brady Fisk, who's been wonderful.
Yeah, he's been really good
for the Rams there with freaking Jared Verse. Like, way to go, LA, hitting on those picks.
Yeah, for sure. They went out there and got 2 really good, just getting after the quarterback guys for this line in the same draft class. So they had a really good draft class with the defensive line for sure.
Yeah. The linebackers, none of them have really played a ton. Edge Cooper, he's looked really good as a pass rusher. Not so much elsewhere.
Is he still ranked 1?
Among rookie linebackers?
Just the linebackers in general, to be honest.
On PFF?
Yeah.
No, Fred Warner's won at a 91.6.
Edgerrin Cooper is like 90.
No, he's down to 69.6. His pass rush grade is 90.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, you just want straight pass rush grade. Okay,
yeah. I would just want his pass rush grade.
Yes, he is one. Bobby Wagner's 2.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, no, I was just going off pass rush grade. Like rushing the passer from a linebacker position. Edgerrin Cooper, I thought he was ranked 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's been really good at rushing the passer, decent in coverage. And Peyton Willis is playing. He's been fine for Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
you can still see you can see the slowness, like the lack of it because of the banged up injuries.
Injuries, yeah.
He's well, and then it's like that's it. Like Trevin Wallace is playing in Carolina, but hasn't amounted much to anything. Jordan McGee's been hurt in Washington.
He was a prospect. He really wasn't ready to be seeing the field too much.
Being Wallace. Be playing. And then Jordan Colson just hasn't been able to stay healthy this year, so he hasn't seen
that's a real shame.
Ton of work. I realized I skipped tight end.
I didn't even realize that, to be honest.
Talking about injuries, sprung up Eric All, who unfortunately tore his ACL on Sunday, the same ACL he tore in college. And
that's rough. It's going to be a really rough road back.
And he's looked good, too.
He looked really good, dude. He's looked really good.
In the limited time he's got to play. Yeah, and then Jatavian Sanders starting to turn it on. He's looking good. Theo Johnson's had sparks for you guys.
He had a tutty last week. He looked...
And, A.J. Barner in situations has looked good for Seattle, but
there's one guy to be talking about here from tight end.
Tip Raymond?
Mr. Brock Bowers.
Ben Sinnott, he had a touchdown.
He did.
And hasn't been used at all. But, it's... There you go. Brock Bowers, elite prospect. Who would have thought?
Who? Shocking. Oh, an amazing tight end prospect is having an amazing rookie year. You can hate on Kyle Pitts all you want. Kyle Pitts produced like a motherfucker his rookie season. Brock Bowers is having an amazing year. It's most likely going to be quite questionably 2 back-to-back seasons where a rookie tight end has finished 1. Laporta did it last year. Brock Bowers, he's got a real good chance here to be tight end 1 at the end of the year. So go off, King. Like Brock Bowers is every bit of the prospect we thought he was, dude. And I'm so glad it's all paying off.
Yeah, he's been great.
Great.
Corners. Who would have thought that Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean are going to be the best 2 rookie corners in the NFL?
Funny how that works out when they're ranked by 1, 2.
Well, Quinyon Mitchell is actually among rookies 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. But watch the Cape. He's been an absolute dog.
He is locking down legitimate.
Cooper DeJean is 1 on PFF. Coverage grade of 85.5, which is number 1. Like, how'd this guy go in the second round? Like,
Quinyon Mitchell is like legitimately locking down number 1 targets. Like, he's almost turning into like Sauce, Patrick Surtain, Nnamdi Asomugha for our older listeners. Like, Quinyon Mitchell is a dog, and he's going to be a lockdown corner for many years to come. And then fucking Cooper DeJean, dude, like, he had this play versus Cincinnati versus Jamar Chase.
Chase Jamar Chase to prevent him from getting the first down.
He locked that motherfucker down. He was chasing him back and forth from sideline to sideline, and they were running man, and they were running man, and he had him locked. And then they screened at the chase, and you seen Cooper break, and he tackled him for a loss. I'm like, that's my guy. That's a dog right there. He stopped him on 4th and short. Like, It's insane that they got both of these guys now in Philly. And they're so fucking talented, dude.
Since DeJean and Mitchell have been on the field together starting, the Eagles' defense has looked completely different.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, nothing against Darius Slay. Darius Slay is an amazing corner. But these two young guys come with a different type of energy, a different type of, like, force behind it. And one's locking you down, and then Cooper DeJean is making crazy coverage plays, dude. Like, he's locking down people. He's breaking on tackles. He's so smart at reading offenses. Dude, I love both of these guys coming out, and it kills me that they're both in Philly now, dude. Like, them and the Commanders knocked it out of the park on this draft class.
Yeah, and, like, Terrion Arnold hasn't been great this year.
No.
But
he's looked fine in some situations.
Nate Wiggins has looked good. Like, he's showing some toughness. He's got that little dog in him, like,
he does,
which is great because the concern was like he lacks the toughness on tape.
Yep.
Kamari Lassiter for Houston,
dog.
Georgia corner. He's looked great. Like, he's been way better than I thought he was. And
for sure.
Speaking of dogs, Andrew Phillips, Kentucky corner to the New York Giants. This dude's solidifying himself as one of the best nickel corners in the league as a rookie. I brought it up when we talked about Tyrone Tracy. I thought you guys had the best rookie draft. Like, your rookies are between Neighbors, Drew Phillips, Tyrone Tracy. Like, you guys are getting the most out of your draft. Andrew Phillips is the 8th ranked corner on PFF.
Tyler Nubin is also having a really good season.
Yeah.
Like, our draft class is producing. And Drew Phillips, dude, he's playing the nickel so well, and he's playing the run better than I could ever imagine Andrew Phillips playing the run his rookie season. He is playing the line so well. He's breaking on tackles. He's every bit of that dog you've seen in college, and he's fulfilled my expectations for a rookie corner. Like, shout out to Drew Phillips. If we're looking at just tapes, you deserve to be in Defensive Player of the Year runnings. Like, you are playing your ass off this year, dude, and I love it from a New York Giants fan standpoint. And I'm so happy to have him.
Your dude from Florida State with the Niners, Renardo Green, has also been incredible this year.
Dog. Yeah, for sure. Big fan of him coming out. He was, like, on tape, you just seen him lock down guys all throughout his college career. And he went to a good team, so they're very well coached, and they know how to put him in the right situation.
Yeah, his running mate, too, Jerry Jones, he ended up in Jacksonville. He's also looked great. Incredible run defender. He's playing well. Like, the corner class has been really good. Tyke Smith, who we had as a safety, Tampa's playing him as a nickelback. He's been great. He's got one of the best run defense grades in just football. And on top of being, good coverage grade, he's working out well there for the Bucks. Like, the rookie corners, Kool-Aid McKinstry's been fine. Like, is
Rickshaw Jr. not playing?
No, I was actually just looking him up.
Which kind of makes me sad. But
he has played 43 snaps this year, and he's been bad, according to PFF.
That's rough.
He's got a pass coverage grade of 39.
He was a dog dude in Missouri, dude. So, but Detroit, they know what they're doing. They play their guys when they're ready to play. Look at
Detroit's got a deep corner room with Carlton Davis there. Obviously Terrion Arnold as well. But the corner class has stepped it up, and again, like, I think corner's an insanely hard position to play, and like Mike Sanders
I was just about to say, did we talk about Mikey Sanders?
Mikey Sanders still, he's been good for the Commanders, playing down that nickel spot. He's that feisty dude, and he's been great for them and their defense. Like, he's outplaying Emmanuel Forbes, who was drafted in the first round 2 years ago.
That dude's a bust. That dude is so bad, dude, and the Commanders know it. They're not letting that guy hit the field. Yeah.
And safeties, I brought up Tyke Smith, who's been playing nickel. He's been good for them. Javon Bullard's been rock solid for the Packers. So is Evan Williams.
Williams is having a great season down there, dude.
I had a 6 to undrafted grade on him. Like, I saw a couple games.
We missed the ball on him.
Yeah, like, I don't know if I just picked 3 bad games, and I was like, okay, this dude ain't worth watching, but he's been great for the Packers. Tyler Nubin, you brought him up earlier. He's been wonderful for the Giants. He's out there. He's playing. Malik Mustafa for the Niners has also been really, really good.
Yeah, for sure. Cameron Kitchens had a nice play in LA over the weekend. The longest play in the NFL this season, 103-yard pick six.
Yeah, he's starting to play more.
Once he gets more reps, he's gonna start shining. I think I'm really, really mad at myself for looking at that last season he had in Miami and being like, I don't think he's as good as I thought he was the year before. No, he's going to be that guy. Like, he's going to get these reps, and I think he's going to be one of the better safeties in this class.
Yeah, he's in a situation too where the Rams they like playing their guys back. They don't move them around a ton, which is what Miami was doing with him. And that's not Kitchen's standpoint. Like, yeah, he's athletic enough that you can move him all over the field, but let him play outfield and just pick you apart. And we saw it on
he's
Sunday.
He's a ball hawk. He's gonna be a real good safety down there in LA.
Jaden Hicks, who was my safety too with the Chiefs, he's only played 38 snaps, but he's looked good in those, an 83 grade on PFF. So we'll see going forward.
Is Cole Bishop playing down there in Buffalo?
Yeah, he is. 133 snaps and a 50 grade. He tied for 70th among all safeties. If he, not the best start there for Cole Bishop. And then Caleb.
I kind of think
Bullock.
They're all special team snaps though.
Yeah, and Caleb Bullock.
I don't really see
USC safety with Houston has been.
He's got a pass deflection. Yeah, the safeties, some of them are looking decent, but that was kind of the safety draft class, though. Like, there was really...
it wasn't deep,
a few here and there, and then you kind of had, like, your gems, like, the guys you thought would be good, but they all went hella late. So the safety class has been... It was kind of questionable coming in. So there are some guys, for sure, that we brought up. Being Tyler Newman, Cam Kitchens, I think, is going to have a really good season from here on out. Evan Williams. So there's some big stars here.
Yeah. And Javon Bullard, and it probably helps that you're both also getting to play with Xavier McKinney, who we probably should have brought his name up for Defensive Player of the Year.
Dude, we let so much talent just walk in the offseason, being Barkley and McKinney, and they were both like two of my favorite players in the Giants.
Also got rid of Leonard Williams.
Yeah, we traded him, but I'm fine with the trade because we ended up getting Brian Burns. So I love Brian Burns. He's been killing it, dude. But the whole Xavier McKinney thing, dude, he's such a ball hawk, dude, and he's shining over there in Green Bay, dude. He's so many turnovers this season. He is running that defense out there. I couldn't be happier for these guys because, like, I love these guys with the Giants, so I'm not going to hate on them for getting bags somewhere else. Go out there, get paid, and still make these big plays. And Barkley's making plays for Philly. McKinney's making plays. So it's nice to see these Giants out here shining, dude.
Yeah. Who are the guys who haven't really, whether it has been they played much or they're just struggling that you think you want to see second half going on? Like mine's Dallas Turner. Like, I loved his talent coming in. We're playing him a little bit more. I think he could have a nice second half and shine here for Minnesota. And then Tyrone Tracy, we brought him up, but I think he's in for a strong second half for you guys, especially now that he has that job on lock.
I agree. Yeah, I think he's got a huge second half coming, but it's going to be Rome Odunze. I think Rome's going to be,
I hope so,
a back end of the year guy that you can look at in fantasy and real life as like, oh, okay, this is why he went top 10. Okay, that makes sense. I don't think they're going to be in a playoff hunt come the last 4 or 5 weeks because of the division wise. They're just so stacked in that division. They're going to kind of fade Keenan Allen out a little bit, or even DJ Moore because of his lack of his, I guess, wanting to be there. I don't know what's going on there. We'll talk about it on Thursday.
Yeah.
But I think Rome is set for a big second half. Same with Jonathan Brooks. I think once he ends up getting more of Carolina,
I cannot wait to see Jonathan Brooks on the field.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. Hopefully his first game is versus the Giants in Germany, and I get to watch all of it. Really get to watch Jonathan Brooks. He's going to be a guy, if he's playing, I'm going to be watching.
Yeah. Lucky guy gets to run up into Dexter Lawrence's arms.
Oh, Godspeed, brother.
Yeah. All right. Rookie recap there in the books.
It's been fun.
Thursday.
It's been really fun to look back at this draft class, dude. We spent so much time
because you kind of forget about them because
diving into these kids. Yeah. And it's nice to see a lot of them really just paying off, dude. Like a lot of the ones we really loved, dude. Like you loved Brian Thomas, and he's out here balling, dude. You love Malik Neighbors, Jaden Daniels. I would back Jaden Daniels with my fucking life, dude. He's out here
Drake
proving
May,
it.
Bucky Irving.
Oh, Bucky, dude.
All these guys that we
the
like.
Corners, Quinyon Mitchell, Coop, dude. Like, it's been really good to see these guys pay off.
Yeah, I hope Johnny Newton turns on because those were like my top 3 defensive players in the draft, and 2 of them have been great so far. Johnny Newton, not so much, but we'll see with more playing time for him. The Manders defense in general hasn't been great, but they're getting better.
Every game they're getting better, dude. Like the Manders defense is starting to be pretty good.
Thursday, same spiel. We'll go through the games, give you fantasy, who we play. We'll give you our starts of the week, and we'll move our power rankings to Thursday because this episode's been a little long.
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll do that there, and then I think starting next Tuesday, we're gonna do 2025 rookie spotlight, where we'll each bring a prospect to the table just to talk about. No, like film scouting, just like
that's fine. I'm deep into the college stuff at this point.
Yeah,
we're good with
sort
that.
of like we did earlier. We got on a little tangent with Cam Ward and Shador Sanders and the rookie quarterbacks coming in 2025. So we'll each bring a draft eligible guy to the table, kind of talk about whether it's the big name guys like Ash and Janty, or some lower name guys like a guy like Jaden Higgins.
Here's my preview for that. It's gonna be Cam Ward. I'm gonna sit here and talk to you about Cam Ward and Miami Hurricanes and how fucking hype I am to watch them play, dude. So Cam Ward is going to be my guy for sure.
Oh, maybe I'll bring Shador Sanders to the table then, baby. All right, guys. Drafted Up podcast. That's in the book. It's been a great to kind of recap these rookies who we spent
it was a good
ton
episode.
of time in the offseason really talking about, and it's a nice refresher to kind of jive about it because you put so much time into them and they get drafted, you kind of just forget about them because you're moving on to the next thing.
Yep. I will probably say we will probably do this again with this exact draft class probably next season just to see how they're doing again next year.
Yeah, we'll do a filler episode over the summer when there's not much going on.
See how they did all season.
Scouting stuff. All right. That's the Drafted Up podcast. That's Nick. I'm Theo. Thanks as always for joining us. We're over on Twitter at @DraftedUp_pod. Apple, YouTube, Spotify, Drafted Up podcast. Like, rate, subscribe, review, share, all that good stuff, guys. We appreciate it. Thank you as always. Adios.
Bye.